Hello, my name is Greg Ehlers, host of Einstein's disease. Welcome to our show tonight where we are going to discuss the problem of healthcare. Healthcare in the context of people being aware and understanding not only what their options are and why so many things with respect to healthcare shouldn't be as big a challenge as they are. People end up finding themselves in a position where the challenges seem insurmountable, or they've had so many experiences that they believe that everything they know is all there is to know. Today we are fortunate to have with us the CEO of WOW Health, Jawad Arshad. Jawad, it's great to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Greg. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
So Jawad, prior to the show and in previous conversations that you and I have had, we've discussed a lot of these challenges or problems, however we want to look at it. We're going to come up with some great solutions and some things to help people out in the future, but we really want to initially and stage this based upon the challenges and problems that healthcare has brought forward to so many people. And one of the things we always talk about, Jawad, is the aspect of education. And education is something that a lot of people, after their formative years, they don't really spend a lot of time on. They get to an employer, they think they have health care, then they become an entrepreneur, maybe start their own business, or they've chosen not to work for a large employer, and they're challenged with, well, I'm sick, I need to go somewhere. So I'd like to have you kind of give us and the audience a better understanding of some of the challenges and what education really means for the healthcare industry, because there really isn't a real way to get an education, is there, Jawad?
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. I think, unfortunately, like many things in life, we most people are stuck in what they know is what they believe to be the only thing, right? And it's hard for us to kind of break that mold. Hence, I think the incumbents advantage, right, in anything in life, and it's the same in healthcare as well. Um, we don't really get taught in any formal way, well, how do we go about obtaining healthcare in our formative years or in our, at the time of schooling. So you come out, you get health insurance through your employer, as you mentioned, um, and the assumption that most people make is that once I have health insurance, when and if I get sick, I will be able to use that to take care of myself. And I think that's where the first folly lies, right? That you will be able to use it to take care of yourself because you don't recognize all of the ways that an insurance product is actually meant to protect the carrier, protect the company that's providing it first, before they are going to think about how are you going to be able to use that service and create really an expense for them. Right?
Right.
I think
So
that's the main issue.
exactly. So when we talk about what you just alluded to from an education standpoint, Jawad, is I go in and I see a doctor. He or she at the front desk says, Greg, your copay is $50. I go in and see the doctor. There's an evaluation done. Maybe I come out and have a medicine, or maybe there's a follow-up appointment. I go to the checkout. They say, okay, thank you very much. Here's your next appointment. And then 2 weeks later, I get a bill in the mail and it says $400. And I'm like, I had a copay of $50 when I went in. I thought everything else was taken care of. Meaning there really is no true first dollar coverage, Jawad, with a lot of the traditional methods to receive health care. And that's one of the first times people kind of have a reality check. But there's ways around that. But from an educational standpoint, how do we explain that to people? Maybe you can spend a little bit, you alluded to it in the way that you said that a doctor and health insurance and maintaining protection for the provider before there actually is protection for me, the customer, me, the the user. If you could maybe expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think well, there are really three ways, mainly broadly speaking, that that a product is being protected, right? So you have copays. That is essentially a barrier, in my opinion, to sort of dissuade the user from having to go see the doctor because you're going to have to pay something out of pocket when you do. Now, depending on the plan, it may be really low, it may be $10, or it may be, on the higher side, it may be up to $100. But the barrier is there so that you know that at the first sign of sniffle, you're not going to show up at the doctor's office because you're going to pay something out of pocket. That's essentially a copay, right? At the time of visit, I'm paying something. Then after that, the carrier says, well, we want there to be even more protection for the product. And so we're going to build in something called a deductible, right? So we're going to have a larger amount, maybe in the, again, richer plans, maybe $1,000, $2,000, all the way up to 15 or even $20,000 for family plans, right? Where that first amount is going to be paid by the consumer, by the patient, because they're again trying to make sure that the plan, the product is not being used overwhelmingly, right? And they're trying to dissuade you from using it. And that's what you're seeing. So when you go see the doctor says, okay, I am going to submit a bill for $400 for this office visit. You have paid me $50 when you came in the form of a copay. I have $350 left still that I'm going to bill to the insurance, right? The insurance is going to take that $350 and they're going to do something called a markdown, or they have some kind of a contractual agreement with the practice, and they're going to say, well, you can charge $350, but our agreement is that we are really only going to pay $150, right? Well, you've already collected $50, so you've got $100 left. Let me see if my client, the patient, has already spent the $5,000 in deductible or not. And if you haven't, the insurance company lets the medical practice know that here, good luck getting the remaining $100 from the patient because they haven't actually spent the $5,000 that they need to spend out of pocket before the insurance company is going to be responsible. So I think so that's the idea, right? Is that and then of course there's a third piece as well, which are co-insurances, right? These are amounts that you're always going to be paying a percentage of. So if you have a 20% co-insurance, for example, right, they're going to be able to say, $10,000, you are responsible for $2,000, even above and beyond the deductible that would have been there, right? So even as I'm explaining this, right, it sounds complex.
It does.
So you can just imagine how written out on a piece of paper, right? And you look at it and it says, okay, you have $2,000 deductible and you have $14,000 maximum out of pocket. And you're like, what is a deductible and what is maximum out of pocket and what is, a co-insurance? So all of these terminologies, like any cottage industry, are really meant to first protect the insurance product and then to allow for the payment of the service, of the benefit that you really come in as a consumer thinking you have from day one.
Right, and I think if there was as we opened this up, the problem with healthcare and the education aspect, I think you really touched on the three key tenets there, and it's important that our viewers understand education is something that takes time, but time that can be very well spent, right, Jawad? I mean, in the end, if you don't ask the questions and you don't understand what your rights are versus your obligations, because you do have rights as a customer and as a user to be able to understand these. And that leads into what will be in our next segment, a solution that removes a few of these tenets that we've discussed that most people that are consumers of healthcare are challenged with. And most importantly, from the standpoint of not only health, specifically behavioral health, areas of depression, those things work in when these bills pile up. They affect your credit score. They may affect your ability to get a new job, and put you in a position where everything that's happening is based upon, in some cases, the lack of education or knowledge about what you were trying to accomplish in the first place, right, Jawad? It's a vicious circle, and we're going to address those problems, or that problem with respect to education and the current usage, with a couple of solutions right after a commercial break here, so we can pay our bills. So Jawad, we'll come back in a few minutes. Look forward to talking about the first solution with respect to healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you.